Maya Rodriguez walked through the heavy double doors of Lincoln High School for the first time on a cold Monday morning in September. She carried her worn backpack on one shoulder and clutched a folded piece of paper with her class schedule in her free hand. The hallways were filled with students who all seemed to know exactly where they belonged. Maya did not feel like she belonged anywhere. She had moved to this side of town with her family just 2 weeks ago. Her parents had saved money for 3 years to afford the rent in this better neighborhood. They wanted Maya and her younger sister to attend a school with more opportunities. Maya understood their sacrifice, but she also felt the weight of their expectations on her shoulders every single day. The previous school Maya attended was much smaller and quieter. Most students there came from families like hers where parents worked long hours at multiple jobs. Everyone wore similar clothes from discount stores, and nobody talked about expensive vacations or designer bags. At Lincoln High, everything seemed different and more complicated. During her first week, Maya noticed how the students separated into clear groups. The popular kids wore name-brand clothes and carried expensive phones. The athletes walked with confidence through the hallways, and everyone seemed to know their names. The smart kids carried heavy books and talked about college applications. Maya watched all these groups from a distance and wondered where she might fit in. Her guidance counselor, Mrs. Thompson, called Maya into her office on Friday afternoon of her first week. She was a kind woman with gray hair and reading glasses that hung from a chain around her neck. She smiled warmly when Maya sat down in the chair across from her desk. Mrs. Thompson had Maya's file open in front of her. She looked at the grades from Maya's previous school and nodded with approval. Maya had always been a good student, but she was not the type to raise her hand often or draw attention to herself in class. The counselor asked Maya about her interests and hobbies. Maya mentioned that she had played volleyball at her old school. She was not the best player on the team, but she enjoyed the sport and had improved a lot during her 2 years on the junior varsity squad. Mrs. Thompson's eyes lit up when she heard this information. Lincoln High had one of the best volleyball programs in the entire state. They had won the championship 3 years in a row, and their coach was known for developing players who went on to play in college. Mrs. Thompson suggested that Maya should try out for the team even though the season had already started. Maya felt nervous about the idea. She had seen some of the volleyball players in the hallways, and they all seemed so confident and put together. Their hair was always perfect, and they wore matching team jackets that made them look like they owned the school. Maya looked down at her faded jeans and simple sweater and wondered if she would ever fit in with girls like that. But Mrs. Thompson encouraged her to at least talk to Coach Martinez about joining the team. She explained that having activities on her record would help Maya when it came time to apply for colleges. She also mentioned that being part of a team could help Maya make friends and feel more connected to her new school. That weekend, Maya practiced volleyball in her backyard with her older brother Carlos. He had played volleyball in college before an injury forced him to quit the sport. Carlos was now 22 years old and worked at a construction company during the day. But every evening he came home and helped Maya practice different skills and techniques. Carlos had always been Maya's biggest supporter. When other kids at their old school made fun of Maya for being quiet or studious, Carlos would remind her that being different was not something to be ashamed of. He taught her that working hard and staying focused on her goals was more important than fitting in with the popular crowd. On Monday morning, Maya gathered her courage and walked to the gymnasium during her lunch period. She found Coach Martinez in her office reviewing game footage on her computer. The coach was a tall woman with short dark hair and intense brown eyes. She looked up when Maya knocked on the open door. Maya introduced herself and explained that she had just transferred to Lincoln High. She mentioned her volleyball experience at her previous school and asked if there might be a spot for her on the team. Coach Martinez studied Maya carefully for several long moments before responding. The coach explained that tryouts had happened over a month ago and the roster was already set. But she also mentioned that they could always use dedicated players who were willing to work hard and learn. She told Maya that she could join the team as a practice player for now and see how things went. Maya felt excited and nervous at the same time. Coach Martinez handed her a packet of papers that included practice schedules, team rules, and information about purchasing uniforms. She told Maya to have her parents sign the forms and bring them back the next day. That evening, Maya sat at the kitchen table with her parents and explained about the volleyball opportunity. Her mother, Elena, worked as a housekeeper for wealthy families during the day. Her father, Miguel, drove a delivery truck and also worked weekend shifts at a warehouse. They both looked tired, but their faces lit up when Maya told them about making the team. Elena hugged Maya and told her how proud she was. Miguel nodded and said that this was exactly the kind of opportunity they had hoped Maya would find at her new school. They signed all the papers without hesitation, even though they knew the costs for uniforms and equipment would strain their tight budget. Maya went to bed that night, feeling hopeful about her future at Lincoln High. She had no idea that joining the volleyball team would lead to some of the most challenging and ultimately rewarding experiences of her young life. She also had no way of knowing that her quiet determination would soon be tested in ways she never could have imagined. Maya arrived at the gymnasium 30 minutes before practice was scheduled to begin on Tuesday afternoon. She wanted to make a good first impression and show Coach Martinez that she was serious about being on the team. She carried a small gym bag that her mother had packed with water, a towel, and the practice clothes they could afford to buy. The gymnasium was much larger than the one at her old school. The ceiling was high and bright lights made everything look clean and professional. Banners hung from the walls showing all the championships that Lincoln High had won over the years. Maya counted 12 different banners just for volleyball alone. She sat on the bleachers and watched as other girls began arriving for practice. They came in groups of 2 or 3 and all seemed to know each other very well. Maya noticed how they greeted each other with hugs and immediately started talking about things that had happened since they last saw each other. The first girl Maya really noticed was Jessica Chen. She was tall with long black hair that she wore in a perfect ponytail. She carried an expensive sports bag and wore matching workout clothes that looked like they came from a high-end athletic store. When Jessica walked into the gym, other girls seemed to naturally move toward her like she was some kind of magnet. Jessica was the team captain and had been playing volleyball since she was 8 years old. Her parents owned a successful restaurant downtown and had paid for private coaching lessons throughout middle school and high school. She was confident in a way that Maya had never felt about anything in her own life. Another girl who caught Maya's attention was Brittany Williams. She was shorter than Jessica but moved with the same kind of confidence. Brittany had blonde hair and always seemed to be laughing about something. She lived in the most expensive neighborhood in town and drove her own car to school every day. Her father was a lawyer and her mother worked at a bank. The third member of what Maya would later learn was the inner circle was Amanda Foster. Amanda was quiet compared to Jessica and Brittany, but she seemed to understand everything that was happening around her. She had been playing volleyball almost as long as Jessica and came from a family where both parents were doctors. Amanda wore simple clothes, but Maya could tell they were expensive because of the way they fit perfectly. When Coach Martinez called the team together, Maya felt nervous about introducing herself. The other girls formed a circle, and Maya found herself standing between 2 players she did not know. Coach Martinez explained that Maya had just transferred to Lincoln High and would be joining the team as a practice player. Jessica looked at Maya with a polite smile that did not reach her eyes. She welcomed Maya to the team and said she hoped Maya would enjoy playing volleyball at Lincoln High. But Maya noticed that Jessica looked her up and down when she thought Maya was not paying attention. Maya felt like Jessica was making a list of everything about her that was different from the other girls. Practice began with warm-up exercises that Maya knew well. She had done similar drills at her old school and felt confident that she could keep up with the other players. But as practice continued, Maya realized that the level of play at Lincoln High was much more advanced than what she was used to. The girls moved faster and hit the ball harder than Maya expected. They called out plays using terms that Maya had never heard before. When it was her turn to serve, Maya did her best, but her serves were not as powerful as the other girls. When she tried to spike the ball, she often hit it into the net instead of over it. Coach Martinez was patient with Maya and gave her encouragement when she made mistakes. But Maya could see some of the other girls exchanging looks when she struggled with certain plays. Nobody said anything mean, but Maya felt like she was being judged with every move she made. After practice ended, Maya quickly gathered her things and headed toward the locker room. She hoped to change clothes and leave before too many other girls came in. But Jessica, Brittany, and Amanda were already there when Maya opened her locker. They were talking about weekend plans and upcoming games. Maya tried to change clothes quietly without drawing attention to herself, but she could not help overhearing their conversation about a team bonding party that Jessica was planning at her house. Jessica mentioned that her parents would be out of town and that she wanted to invite the whole team over for pizza and movies. She looked around the locker room and made eye contact with most of the girls as she extended the invitation. But when her eyes reached Maya, she seemed to look right through her as if Maya was not even there. Maya finished changing and left the locker room feeling confused and disappointed. She had hoped that joining the volleyball team would help her make friends and feel more connected to her new school. Instead, she felt more alone than ever. That evening, Maya practiced in her backyard with her brother Carlos. She told him about her first day with the team and how she felt like she did not fit in with the other girls. Carlos listened carefully and then reminded Maya that earning respect takes time and effort. He told Maya that the other girls had been playing together for years and it was natural that she would feel like an outsider at first. Carlos encouraged Maya to focus on improving her skills and being a good teammate. He said that if she worked hard and stayed positive eventually, the other girls would see her value. Maya went to bed that night feeling determined to prove herself to her new teammates. She had no idea that proving herself would be much harder than she imagined, and that some of the girls had already decided they did not want her to succeed. 3 weeks had passed since Maya joined the Lincoln High volleyball team, and she still felt like she was watching the other girls from behind a glass wall. Every practice brought new challenges, and every day in the locker room reminded her that she did not belong to their world. Maya had worked harder than she had ever worked at anything in her life. She arrived early to every practice and stayed late to work on her weaknesses. Her serves were getting stronger and her footwork was improving. But no matter how much progress she made, the gap between her and the other girls seemed to stay the same. The team had their first game of the season against Roosevelt High School on a Friday evening. Maya knew she would not be playing in the actual game, but Coach Martinez had told her to dress in uniform and sit on the bench with the team. Maya felt excited about wearing the Lincoln High jersey for the first time, even though she would only be watching. When Maya tried on her uniform at home, her mother Elena became emotional seeing her daughter in the blue and gold colors. Elena took pictures with her old phone and sent them to Maya's father Miguel, who was working late at the warehouse. Miguel texted back that he was proud of Maya and wished he could attend the game to watch her. The game against Roosevelt was held in Lincoln High's gymnasium, and many students and parents came to watch. Maya sat at the end of the bench and tried to learn by observing how the starters played. She watched how Jessica communicated with her teammates and how Brittany anticipated where the ball would go next. Lincoln High won the match easily in 3 straight sets. The crowd cheered loudly and Maya felt proud to be part of a winning team, even though she had not contributed to the victory. After the game, the girls celebrated in the locker room, and Maya hoped this might be a moment when she could connect with her teammates. But when the celebration began, Maya noticed that the other girls formed their usual groups and she was left standing alone near her locker. Jessica was surrounded by her closest friends, and they talked excitedly about their performance. Other girls gathered around them trying to be included in the conversation. Maya changed out of her uniform quietly and listened to the other girls make plans to go out for ice cream together. She waited to see if anyone would invite her to join them, but nobody even looked in her direction. Maya finished changing and slipped out of the locker room while the other girls were still talking and laughing. The weekend passed slowly for Maya. She practiced with her brother Carlos in their backyard and helped her mother clean houses on Saturday morning. Maya's life outside of school was completely different from her teammates who spent their weekends shopping at the mall or going to movies with their friends. Monday morning brought new challenges when Maya overheard Jessica and Brittany talking before first period. They were discussing strategy for the upcoming game against their biggest rival, Westfield High. Maya tried to join the conversation by suggesting a play she had seen work well at her old school. Jessica listened to Maya's idea with a polite expression but then dismissed it quickly, saying that they had their own system that had been working for years. Brittany nodded in agreement and added that sometimes it was better to stick with what you know instead of trying new things. Maya felt embarrassed and walked away from the conversation feeling smaller than before. She began to understand that her outsider status was not just about money or social class. The other girls saw her as a threat to their established order, and they were determined to keep her in her place. During practice that week, Maya noticed that some of the girls were being less helpful than usual when she made mistakes. In the past, when Maya missed a serve or failed to return a difficult ball, Her teammates would offer encouragement or advice. Now they would just look at each other with expressions that Maya could not quite read. Coach Martinez seemed to notice the tension, but she was focused on preparing the team for their match against Westfield. The coach had been pushing everyone harder in practice, and Maya was struggling to keep up with the increased intensity. Her mistakes became more frequent, and she could see frustration growing on the faces of her teammates. On Thursday afternoon, Maya had her worst practice since joining the team. She served 3 balls into the net in a row during drills. She missed several easy passes that should have been routine for any varsity player. When she tried to spike the ball during scrimmage, she hit it directly into the hands of the opposing blocker. Coach Martinez finally called Maya aside and spoke to her privately. The coach asked if everything was okay at home and whether Maya was getting enough sleep. Maya assured Coach Martinez that she was fine and just needed more time to adjust to the higher level of competition. But Maya knew the real problem was not her physical skills or her preparation. The problem was that she was trying to play volleyball while carrying the weight of constant rejection from her teammates. Every practice felt like a test that she was destined to fail, and every day in the locker room reminded her that she was an unwelcome guest in their world. Friday. Afternoon practice was scheduled to be light because of the big game the next day. Maya hoped this would give her a chance to relax and maybe even have some positive interactions with her teammates. Instead, it turned out to be the day when everything would finally come crashing down around her. Maya made several small mistakes during the warm-up drills, and she could feel the other girls becoming annoyed with her performance. When Coach Martinez divided the team for a short scrimmage, Maya was placed on the side with the substitutes and newer players. She tried her best, but nothing seemed to go right for her that day. The scrimmage during Friday afternoon practice turned into a disaster for Maya. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. She missed serves that she had been making consistently for weeks. She fumbled easy passes that any beginner should have handled. When the ball came to her during rallies, she seemed to freeze up completely. Coach Martinez stopped the scrimmage after Maya made her 5th major mistake in 10 minutes. The coach looked frustrated and told the team to take a water break. Maya could feel everyone staring at her as she walked slowly to the sideline. Her face burned with embarrassment and her hands were shaking. Jessica jogged over to where some of the other starters were standing, and Maya could hear her talking in a low voice. She caught words like disappointing and liability, but tried not to listen too closely. Maya sat alone on the bench and wondered if she should just quit the team before they kicked her off. Coach Martinez called Maya over for a private conversation near her office. The coach spoke in a gentle voice, but Maya could see concern in her eyes. Coach Martinez asked if Maya was feeling overwhelmed by the pressure of playing at a higher level than her previous school. Maya wanted to tell Coach Martinez about how isolated she felt from her teammates. She wanted to explain that it was hard to focus on volleyball when she felt like an unwelcome stranger every single day. But Maya was afraid that complaining would make her look weak or like she was making excuses for her poor performance. Instead, Maya told Coach Martinez that she was just having a bad day and promised to work harder. Coach Martinez nodded, but Maya could tell that the coach was running out of patience. They had an important game tomorrow against Westfield High, and the team needed players who could be counted on under pressure. The rest of practice went better for Maya, but she still felt like everyone was watching her carefully and waiting for her to make another mistake. When Coach Martinez finally blew her whistle to end practice, Maya felt relief wash over her. She gathered her things quickly and headed toward the locker room. Maya hoped to change clothes and leave before most of the other girls came into the locker room. But Jessica, Brittany, and Amanda were already there when Maya opened her locker. They were talking about tomorrow's game and making predictions about how they would perform against Westfield. Maya tried to change her clothes quietly without drawing attention to herself. She could hear other girls filtering into the locker room, and the noise level was rising as everyone talked about their weekend plans. Maya focused on getting dressed as quickly as possible so she could escape the uncomfortable situation. But then she heard her name mentioned in the conversation happening near the mirrors. Jessica was talking to a group of girls, including Brittany and Amanda. Maya froze with her shirt halfway over her head and listened to what they were saying about her. Jessica said that Maya's performance today had been embarrassing and that she was worried about how it would affect the team's chemistry. Brittany agreed and added that Maya seemed like she didn't understand the level of commitment required to play volleyball at Lincoln. Hi. Amanda nodded and said that some people just weren't cut out for competitive sports. Maya felt her heart pounding as she listened to her teammates discuss her weaknesses. But the conversation was just getting started and it was about to become much worse. Jessica looked around to make sure Coach Martinez was not nearby, and then began speaking more freely about what she really thought of. Jessica said that Maya was dragging down the entire team and that Coach Martinez should have never let her join in the middle of the season. She complained that Maya's old clothes and worn-out equipment made the whole team look unprofessional. Brittany laughed and said that Maya probably couldn't even afford to buy proper volleyball shoes. Other girls in the locker room began joining the conversation, and Maya realized that she had become the target of everyone's frustration. Amanda mentioned that Maya's family probably didn't understand how important volleyball was at Lincoln High, because they came from a different kind of background. Someone else said that Maya seemed like she would be happier playing at a less competitive school. The comments kept getting meaner and more personal. Jessica said that Maya was too quiet and awkward to fit in with their team culture. Brittany added that Maya never wanted to hang out with the other girls and always acted like she was better than everyone else. Amanda suggested that Maya might be jealous of the other girls because they had things that she could never afford. Maya sat on the bench in front of her locker and felt tears starting to form in her eyes. She had never felt so humiliated in her entire life. These girls who she had tried so hard to impress were saying terrible things about her family, her appearance, and her character. Every insecurity that Maya had ever felt was being discussed openly by her teammates. The worst part was that Maya could hear other girls laughing and agreeing with the cruel comments. She had hoped that at least some of her teammates might defend her or tell the others to stop being so mean. Instead, it seemed like everyone was enjoying the opportunity to criticize. Jessica continued talking and said that Maya would probably quit the team soon anyway because she obviously couldn't handle the pressure. Brittany suggested that it might be better for everyone if Maya did quit because then they could focus on building chemistry with players who actually belonged on the team. Maya finally finished, getting dressed, and grabbed her backpack from her locker. She wanted to run out of the locker room as fast as possible, but she was afraid that would make it obvious that she had been listening to their conversation. Instead, she walked slowly toward the exit while trying to hold back her tears. As Maya reached the door, she heard Jessica say one final thing that would stay with her forever. Jessica told the other girls that some people just didn't belong in places like Lincoln High and that Maya was a perfect example of someone who would never fit in, no matter how hard she tried. Maya made it outside the school building before the tears finally came. She sat in her mother's old car and cried harder than she had cried since she was a little girl. All her dreams of belonging to the team and making friends at her new school seemed impossible now. Maya sat in her mother's car outside Lincoln High for 20 minutes crying and feeling sorry for herself. But then something inside her changed. The sadness turned into anger and the anger turned into determination. Maya wiped her tears and made a decision that would change everything. She drove home and found her brother Carlos working on his truck in the garage. Maya told him everything that had happened in the locker room. She repeated every cruel word that Jessica and the other girls had said about her and her family. Carlos listened without interrupting, and Maya could see anger building in his eyes. When Maya finished talking, Carlos put down his tools and looked at his sister seriously. He told Maya that she had two choices. She could quit the team and let those girls win, or she could prove them wrong in a way they would never forget. Carlos reminded Maya that she came from a family of fighters who never gave up when things got difficult. That evening, Maya and Carlos went to the community center and practiced volleyball for 3 hours. Carlos had Maya work on advanced techniques that most high school players never learned. He taught her serves that spun in ways that confused receivers. He showed her how to spike the ball at angles that made it impossible to defend. Maya practiced until her arms ached and her legs felt like rubber. But with every serve and every spike, she thought about what Jessica had said in the locker room. She thought about how the other girls had laughed when they talked about her family's financial struggles. Maya used that pain as fuel to push herself harder than she had ever pushed before. Carlos also worked with Maya on mental preparation. He taught her visualization techniques that would help her stay calm under pressure. He reminded her that talent without confidence was useless, and that she needed to believe in herself before anyone else would believe in her. Maya went to bed that night feeling different than she had felt in weeks. Instead of dreading the game against Westfield High, she was actually looking forward to it. She knew that she probably would not get to play, but she was ready for whatever opportunity came her way. Saturday morning arrived gray and cold, but Maya woke up feeling energized. She ate a healthy breakfast and arrived at school 2 hours before the team bus was scheduled to leave for Westfield High. Maya found the gymnasium unlocked and spent an hour practicing serves by herself. When the other girls arrived, they seemed surprised to see Maya there so early. Jessica made a comment about how Maya must be nervous about the big game, but Maya just smiled and continued with her warm-up routine. She had decided that she would not let their words affect her anymore. The bus ride to Westfield High was quiet because everyone was thinking about the important game ahead. Maya sat alone near the back of the bus and listened to music on her old headphones. She visualized herself playing perfectly and helping the team win just like Carlos had taught her. Westfield High had an impressive gymnasium that was even larger than Lincoln High's gym. The stands were packed with students and parents from both schools. Maya felt excited about being part of such an important game, even though she expected to spend it sitting on the bench. The first set began, and Lincoln High looked nervous. Jessica made several unforced errors, and Brittany seemed distracted by the loud crowd. Westfield High won the first set easily, and Coach Martinez called a timeout to talk to her players. During the second set, things got worse for Lincoln High. Amanda twisted her ankle going for a difficult save and had to be helped off the court. Then Brittany collided with another player and hit her head hard enough that Coach Martinez was worried about a concussion. Suddenly, Coach Martinez was looking down the bench at her substitute players. Maya felt her heart racing as the coach made eye contact with her. Coach Martinez had no choice but to put Maya in the game with Lincoln High, trailing badly and their season on the line. Maya ran onto the court feeling more ready than she had ever felt for anything in her life. The crowd was loud and the pressure was enormous, but Maya felt calm and focused. She remembered everything that Carlos had taught her about staying confident under pressure. The first ball that came to Maya was a difficult serve from Westfield High's best player. Maya received it perfectly and set up Jessica for an easy spike. Jessica looked surprised that Maya had made such a good pass, but she put the ball away for a point. On Maya's first serve, she used one of the advanced techniques that Carlos had taught her. The ball spun in a way that confused the Westfield receiver and they hit it into the net. Maya's teammates looked at her with new respect as she prepared for her second serve. Maya served another point and then another. Her serves were more powerful and more accurate than anything the other girls had seen from her in practice. She was hitting spots on the court that even Jessica struggled to reach with her serves. When it was Maya's turn to spike the ball, she jumped higher than anyone expected and hit it at an angle that made it impossible for Westfield to defend. The crowd gasped at the power and precision of Maya's attack. Her teammates were staring at her like they had never seen her before. Maya continued playing at a level that shocked everyone in the gymnasium. She made saves that seemed impossible and executed plays that the other girls did not know she was capable of making. With Maya leading the way, Lincoln High came back to win the second set. The third set was even more dominant for Maya. She served 5 points in a row to give Lincoln High a commanding lead. Every time Westfield tried to mount a comeback, Maya would make a crucial play to stop their momentum. She was playing like a completely different person than the girl who had struggled so badly in practice. When Lincoln High won the match, Maya's teammates rushed to congratulate her. Jessica looked embarrassed as she shook Maya's hand and told her that she had played an amazing game. Brittany and Amanda seemed shocked by what they had witnessed. Coach Martinez pulled Maya aside after the game and told her that she had never seen a player step up under pressure the way Maya had that day. The coach said that Maya had earned a permanent spot in the starting lineup and would be playing in every game from now on. As the team celebrated their victory, Maya felt satisfied but not surprised. She had always known that she was capable of playing at this level. The other girls were just now realizing that they had completely misjudged the quiet new girl, who they thought did not belong on their team. Monday morning at Lincoln High felt completely different for Maya than it had ever felt before. News of her incredible performance against Westfield High had spread throughout the school over the weekend. Students who had never spoken to her before were stopping her in the hallways to congratulate her on the amazing comeback victory. Maya walked into first period, with her head held high for the first time since transferring to Lincoln High. She no longer felt like She had to apologize for existing or try to make herself invisible. The girl who had cried in her car after being mocked in the locker room was gone forever. During lunch, Maya sat at her usual table alone, but this time it was by choice, rather than because nobody wanted to sit with her. Several students asked if they could join her, but Maya politely declined. She was enjoying the peace and quiet after months of feeling anxious about where she fit in the social order of the school. Jessica approached Maya's table halfway through lunch period. She looked nervous and uncomfortable as she asked if she could sit down and talk. Maya looked up from her book and nodded toward the empty chair across from her. Jessica sat down and stared at her hands for several seconds before speaking. Jessica began by apologizing for the things she had said in the locker room on Friday. She admitted that she had been jealous of Maya's natural talent and worried that Maya would take her position as the team leader. Jessica explained that she had worked her entire life to be the star player at Lincoln High and felt threatened when Maya joined the team. Maya listened to Jessica's apology without showing much emotion. She appreciated that Jessica was trying to make things right, but Maya also knew that the apology was coming only because Maya had proven herself on the volleyball court. If Maya had continued to struggle, Jessica would never have apologized for her cruel words. Jessica asked if they could start over and try to be friends. Maya told Jessica that she was willing to be a good teammate, but that real friendship would take time to develop. Maya had learned that trust was something that had to be earned through actions, not just words. That afternoon at volleyball practice, Maya noticed that everything was different. Coach Martinez had moved Maya into the starting lineup and given her Jessica's old position as the primary server. Jessica was still on the starting team, but she was no longer the undisputed leader that she had been for the past 3 years. The other girls on the team were treating Maya with a respect that bordered on fear. They had all watched Maya dominate the Westfield game, and they knew that she was capable of performances that none of them could match. Brittany and Amanda were especially careful to be polite and helpful when they interacted with Maya. Coach Martinez pulled Maya aside before practice began and told her about the phone calls that had been coming into her office. 3 different college coaches had already called asking about Maya after hearing about her performance against Westfield. One coach from a Division I university was planning to attend their next game just to watch Maya play. Maya felt excited about the college interest, but she also felt overwhelmed by how quickly her life was changing. Just a week ago, she had been wondering if she should quit the team because she felt so unwelcome. Now college scouts were interested in giving her a full scholarship to play volleyball at the highest level. Practice went smoothly with Maya leading the drills and setting the tone for the entire team. Her serves were still as powerful and accurate as they had been during the Westfield game. Her spikes were still hitting angles that made them nearly impossible to defend. Maya was playing with a confidence that inspired her teammates to elevate their own games. After practice, Maya was the last player to leave the locker room, just as she had been for the past several weeks. But this time she was taking her time because she wanted to savor the moment, rather than because she was trying to avoid her teammates. Maya had worked hard to earn her place on this team, and she was proud of what she had accomplished. Maya drove home thinking about how much her life had changed since she overheard those cruel comments in the locker room. She realized that Jessica and the other girls had actually done her a favor by being so mean to her. Their cruelty had motivated Maya to work harder and discover capabilities that she might never have found otherwise. When Maya arrived home, she found her parents waiting for her in the kitchen with huge smiles on their faces. Coach Martinez had called to tell them about the college interest and about Maya's new position as a starter. Elena hugged Maya and told her how proud she was that her daughter had persevered through such difficult times. Miguel shook Maya's hand and told her that she had brought honor to their family name. He said that Maya's success proved that hard work and determination could overcome any obstacle, including the prejudice and cruelty of people who thought they were better than others. Carlos came home from work an hour later, and Maya told him about everything that had happened since the Westfield game. Carlos smiled and told Maya that he had never doubted that this day would come. He reminded Maya that champions were not born, but were created through adversity and struggle. That evening, Maya practiced with Carlos in their backyard, just as they had done every night for months. But now they were practicing to maintain Maya's high level of play, rather than trying to help her catch up to her teammates. Maya had not only caught up but had surpassed most of the girls who had once looked down on her. Maya went to bed that night, thinking about Jessica's apology and about how the power dynamics on the team had completely shifted. She wondered if Jessica truly felt sorry for her, being cruel, or if she was just trying to stay on Maya's good side now that Maya was clearly the best player on the team. Maya decided that it did not matter what Jessica's true motivations were. Maya had proven everything that she needed to prove to herself and to her teammates. She was no longer the outsider begging to be accepted. She was the star player that everyone else wanted to impress. The girl who had once been mocked for not belonging had become the most important player on the team. Maya had not just earned a spot on the roster, but had taken over as the undisputed leader of the Lincoln High volleyball team. Her teammates now looked up to her the same way they had once looked up to Jessica. Maya smiled as she drifted off to sleep, knowing that tomorrow would bring new challenges and new opportunities to prove that she belonged exactly where she was.